Well, as we've established, this is a very important international break. And yet another show where we're going to try and get into the mind of Mauricio Pochettino, because big games for the U.S. men's national team against Belgium and Portugal. These are teams that the U.S. are going to want to be competitive against and likely beat if they're going to want to go far in the World Cup. So I can't really get into the mind of Mauricio Pochettino. My brain just doesn't work that way.
But you've tried.
Oh, I've tried. I've interviewed him many times. Still can't. But Herculez Gomez here. Herc,
we will try.
I think you can try. So I want you to tell me what you think Poch is going to do,
try to play the man,
and how he will line them up, at least against Belgium first.
Big game. Belgium could be a possible knockout round opponent, somebody they face in that miracle on ice moment that Mauricio Pochettino keeps on talking about. Portugal, very formidable opponents, the best opponents they've had as of late. Right, Matt Friis, if it's not obvious right now, that's Poch's number one. He's done everything and anything to give him time, to make him feel comfortable. He's going to be in between the pipes, and Matt Turner's been coming up. Matt Turner's the only one there in that goalkeeping pool can really threaten him. It's a big show for him right there with Matt Friis. Chris Richards is your CB number one. He's the most confident defender you have. He's going to be the center back, the leader, the anchor right there. And the reason they go three center backs in the back is because they want to protect Tim Ream here. Tim Ream is very good. Ali, you know how good these passing center backs are. But at his age, his lack of speed, lack of athleticism, you want to protect that back line. You want to protect Tim Ream. And the other side...
You're going to need a lot of protection, let me just tell you.
The other side, I love how you bring in Ale for the old guy.
No, Ali knows this. He's so good, progressive. His passing is very good. That's why he's going to be there for what he gives you with the ball.
Can I tell you something about Tim Ream real quick?
Yeah.
I know you're going to go through this whole thing, but real quick. A couple of weeks ago, I was in LA watching the LA Galaxy play against Charlotte.
Oh.
And Tim Ream got isolated in wide areas against Gabriel Peck, one of the outstanding players for the LA Galaxy, and it was a mismatch.
Yes.
And when I say a mismatch, it's like Tim Ream wasn't even there. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it from the stands and I'm saying to myself, this is not good.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Peck is not a national team player.
He's an exceptional player, but he's not a national team player. He's not a Portuguese national team player. He's not a Belgian. What Ali's saying is very important, because as Anthony Robinson, who I'll get to in a second, loves going up, he's so powerful in the way he drives, he's going to leave that space. Every once in a while, Tim Ream's going to be isolated, and he has to go and pressure, and he's got to go and be 1v1 defensively. And if he can't hold his own, if they can't back him up, if they can't protect him at the right time, this is going to be something that Mauricio Pochettino has to be very careful with. But Tim Ream is there because of what he does with the ball.
Yeah.
Tanner Tessman is very interesting. We keep hearing Tanner Tessman in France, how he's been converted into a center back. They're trying him out as a center back. Mauricio Pochettino mentioned him as a center back, which I thought was very, very interesting, because there was one midfielder who I thought stood out in the previous windows was Tanner Tessman. How good he was as an 8, going forward and backwards, but his size, his athleticism, his passing, his vision. I think there's a part of Pochettino that wants to try him out in that third center back position. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Anthony Robinson hasn't played a hell of a lot with the U.S. men's national team. It's been Max Arfsten, but Anthony Robinson is so vital to this pool. He's such a good player. You've got to see, if you're Mauricio Pochettino, where he's at. Since his injury, his knee injury, where at one time he was one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in the Premier League. He was linked to Liverpool, was linked to big moves. It's a long time since he's been linked to those teams. It's been a long time since he's been the best Anthony Robinson. You got to see where he's at.
Yeah.
And Mauricio Pochettino has to see if he can trust him, if he can have confidence in him, or if he's got to go the Max Arfsten route. So I expect Anthony Robinson to get the run out here. The other side, Timothy Weah is in this weird, I'm a winger, maybe you're only true winger, but you don't play with wingers anymore. You played with double 10s, and there's no Serginho Dest. Joe Scally is a name that comes about, but Joe Scally's a name that comes about, Ali, here as maybe just making the World Cup, not as a potential player to start. Timothy Weah provides the width, provides the pace. I think he's going to get the go here in that potential right back, wing back role. So the left wing back, right wing back, Ali, what do you think?
Anthony Robinson is going to play regardless in the World Cup. I honestly don't while Max Arfsten has made a case for himself, Anthony Robinson is not only going to start in this next game, he's also going to be first choice, and he's going to be given every opportunity to be the first choice as a left winger, left back, whatever you want to call it for this team. I think he is actually one of the most important players in this team, because him being able to get up and down the field gives Christian Pulisic
free roam. Yeah.
He can go anywhere he wants. He has flexibility to go in all sorts of different places. And in fact, he's encouraging to go in different places so that this guy can get forward. And this team, without Serginho Dest, becomes very left-sided. So you need Anthony Robinson to be at his best. And in order to avoid becoming very left-sided, yeah, Tim Weah seems to be the natural decision. But in all honesty, I still think Tim Weah can help this team more here than he does back here. See, there's so much that he's going to, at least in the World Cup, if I'm imagining the World Cup without Serginho Dest, if Tim Weah is spending time defending, having to help this third center back, so it becomes his role to go and defend, then you give up a lot of the stuff that he does in the front line and in the final third. I think he's far more effective in the final third than he is back there.
Well, remember, it's life without Serginho and also life without Tyler Adams. And if there's one player that is an enigma with the U.S. men's national team, it's Johnny Cardoso. How are you so valuable to a team like Atletico? How have you proven yourself at a team like Real Betis, Internacional in Brazil, and still had not proved yourself at the CONCACAF level? There is no Tyler Adams. So let's assume this is your World Cup starting day roster. It's going to be Johnny Cardoso, no Tyler Adams as your natural six, as your natural defensive midfielder. Can you prove to be a player that is confident with the ball and protects this back line? Can you not make mistakes? Can you be that final pass right there to a Christian Pulisic? Can you be somebody like you are at the club level? It's very important to see what type of Johnny Cardoso we get in this camp, in the Belgium game and in the Portugal game against very good caliber opponents, because if there's something Johnny Cardoso has not done with the U.S. men's national team is shower himself in glory. It's been mistake after mistake, so this is a big test for Johnny Cardoso.
Well, but here's the thing. If you want to believe that Mauricio Pochettino was in Madrid and watching Atletico Madrid against Spurs because he was there to watch Johnny Cardoso, then there was no better performance that you could put together if you're Johnny Cardoso to make a case for yourself at the Champions League level. So it is obvious, I think, if I were Mauricio Pochettino, that Johnny Cardoso can certainly play the position. And so, yeah, can he do it at the national team? It's like, can he do it on a rainy night at Stoke? That's the same sort of conversation, but he needs to prove it. I agree that he hasn't been at his best. Johnny Cardoso should be a player that has a role in this team, given what he does on a weekly basis, but we're yet to see it with any sort of consistency. But I do think that Pochettino has already made up his mind about Johnny Cardoso. Even if he's not at his best in these games, I think he's seen enough, certainly seeing it live with Atletico Madrid against Spurs, he saw enough to say, this guy should be part of the picture.
Yeah, just remember, summer series, right before the Gold Cup, it was Johnny Cardoso. It was the outside of the foot pass across the face of the 6-yard box against Turkey. Arda Güler picking him off. Goal against the U.S. men's national team. This is a player that has all the tools at the club level. For whatever reason, at the national team level, has yet to put it together.
Yeah, everybody had forgotten that pass until you brought it back up. Cardoso hated this.
Now, very, very interesting here is obviously the second midfielder there, the central midfielder. I'm going to go Weston McKennie, even though Weston McKennie, some would say, lacks the discipline.
He's a changed man now.
I would say he maybe is a changed man. And what we saw at Juventus, he can play anywhere. And honestly, he should be in your starting 11. The question is where? Will he play as an 8? Will he play as a double 10? Will he play as a right back? Will he play as a left back? He's played it all for Juventus. And even as a striker, he has been referred to as the perfect striker. We're going to see, I'm going to give him the shout right now as an 8, where we saw him with the U.S. men's national team with Greg Berhalter, arriving late into the box, those trademark runs. Let's see if we can get the best out of Weston McKennie in this camp.
Wait, but Weston McKennie, in the past, has lacked the discipline in just, hey, how about let's stay in shape, Weston? Can we do that? He hasn't been in best condition possible, and I think that has been obvious for everybody to see. And you see it in the performances because he's not able to cover the ground. That seems to have changed.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I still think discipline is a problem for him tactically.
Yes.
Positionally.
I don't disagree.
And so if indeed this is the way that the team is put together, and this guy is going to have freedom to go, and Malik Tillman is going to have some freedom to go and join Balogun, then this guy becomes critically important in covering all of this ground. He can't just go and be a guy here and not be able to come back and then leave it all to Johnny Cardoso and say, Johnny, you're on your own, bro. You do you.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, which is why I think Tessman's going to be instrumental because he already knows how to cover that role as well. But Weston McKennie has to have the tactical discipline here. I'll go very quickly. Christian Pulisic, you need a big camp out of Christian Pulisic. He's got 1 assist in 2026, 0 goals. You need to see the Christian Pulisic of old. You need to see him operating, moving the strings, linking up very well with Balogun as he normally does. And Malik Tillman, I want to see Malik Tillman before Leverkusen. I want to see Malik Tillman, Gold Cup version, the confidence, on the ball, off the ball, arriving late, from distance, because if not, you've got a few players who are chomping at the bit, and one of those players is over here, and it could be Gio Reyna, and Gio Reyna has shown us to be a very exceptional player for the U.S. men's national team. Can he do it against the elite opposition? You've seen him do it against CONCACAF opposition. I think this is going to be a very important game or set of games for not only Malik Tillman, but Giovanni Reyna. One of those will come out on top.
I think the United States, and I've said this before many a time, they're so much better when Gio Reyna is playing alongside Christian Pulisic, and he gives the freedom for Christian Pulisic to do other things, because Gio Reyna himself can create for himself and for others. But if he doesn't prove it with the national team in these games against Belgium, against Portugal, his role is not going to be over here. It's going to be closer to right there.
On the sidelines,
Right
baby.
there.
Yeah.
Right there.
And finally, Fowler and Balogun has proven to be the best.
Let him
link up.
Let's bring it back.
All right.
Oh,
Fowler and Balogun happens to be the clear-cut number 9 on the U.S. men's national team. 15 goals in all comps, 5 assists. He's got 5 goals in the last 5 league games. He's scoring in the Champions League. He's in his moment right now. I will push back that his marquee moment is the goal he scored against Canada in the final of the Nations League, and in a losing effort against Panama, a bomb that he dropped to the left. We want to see him in a big moment. I'm talking about a World Cup moment for Fowler and Balogun, but I think there's no question he's the clear-cut number 9 right now.
That's beyond discussion.
That's beyond discussion. All right, well, these guys are bullying Team Ream a little bit. But let's be honest, the man brings a wealth of experience.
I didn't say, I did not bully him.
The city needs a little bit of protection.
Gabriel Beck bullied.
Gabriel Beck bullied him,
Gabriel
not
Beck
me.
bullied him. Herc tried to call him a little old man, but you know what? That man brings a wealth of experience to this U.S. men's national team, especially in a home World Cup. That's something that they're going to need. One place that he's never bullied, though, is in an interview or a press conference, and he gave one today. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I mean, the message is pretty consistent, and that's not really changed from any other camps that we've had previously. It's the most important camp, just as when we were in camp in November, that was the most important camp. So it's important to stay focused on the here and now, and I think not tightening up is probably the best way to describe it. You don't want to play. You don't want to play tight. You want to have a focus. You want to have an intensity, but you don't want to, feel like you're gripping, the steering wheel with white knuckles. You have to play loose. You have to play, with confidence and be comfortable. But it is, right now it is the most important camp, and it's an opportunity for everybody to. To show what they can do and hopefully be a part of the World Cup in June.
Tim Ream there saying that right now this is the most important camp indeed for the U.S. men's national team before they head into a World Cup as host nation. That's going to be something massive, Herc. Now, I asked you guys, of course, what you thought Mauricio Pochettino was going to do, but now I want to know what your expectations are and what you thought of what Tim Ream said.
Well, Tim Ream says this is the most important camp. It's your final games before Mauricio Pochettino has to make a decision. Before, I'd go back to my World Cup 2010, you had a 30-man camp, and then you had a game. And after that game, they would tell you, hey, these are the 7 players we're dropping. These are the players who are going to the World Cup. So it felt like you had time. You didn't have to just impress. Right before the World Cup, that was your time. That was the most important. Now you got to give the coach something to think about. Where he goes, Mauricio Pochettino, and he's like, okay, March camp is over. Now come June, I have to know who I am taking. I have to know who impressed me in this final camp. So what he's talking about for a guy like Tim Ream, it may sound easy because Tim Ream's probably one of the more secure guys on this national team, bearing injury, bearing some crazy thing that we see, as Ali had mentioned about Tim Ream showing physical attributes where players can easily go by him one-on-one. Bearing something crazy, he's going to be there. But the guy next to him, Patrick Ageymang, he's banking on a good camp. He's banking on a good set of games. to put that seed of doubt into Mauricio Pochettino's head. So I agree. It is the most important camp right now because there is no second chance for these players.
It's the most important camp for the players that are not in this camp. If you're not in this camp, and it's not because of injury in the case of Tyler Adams, for example, who I think we can all agree that if he's healthy, fit, and ready to go, he'll be in the World Cup. If you are not in this camp, and you were sort of on the outside looking in to begin with, might as well make your summer vacation plans because the World Cup will not be the case for you. For those that are in this camp, to your point, it's an opportunity. And it's an opportunity that they have had in the past as well. And if you haven't taken that opportunity in the past, then this becomes increasingly more important. And the name that sort of comes naturally when I think of that is Johnny Cardoso. But as we mentioned earlier, Johnny Cardoso, I think, impressed Mauricio Pochettino live. And so that takes him out of that conversation. People that are not here, players that are not in this camp, they cannot make a case for themselves any longer. Their case has already been made one way or another. And it becomes the most important camp for them because they're absent. And they cannot do anything to affect the decision-making process. And some will say, well, what about if you get hot and score a bunch of goals and this, that, or the other, and maybe there's some injuries? Okay, those things can happen. But you cannot make the impression that you want live in training, how you carry yourself with the national team, how you carry yourself in meetings, how you handle the interaction with other players, the environment of the national team. What do you bring to this group? Because when it comes to the back end of rosters in this sort of competitions and the coaches are making decisions on the back end, it's not only what you do on the field, it's what can you bring to this group, to the dynamics of this group, to the dynamics of training. What can you add? How can you add value? Well, if you're not in this camp, you can't add any of that, and you cannot show any of that. So, again, it's the most important camp for the players that are not here because they cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, it's difficult because as a footballer, I'm sure Ale, you'll attest to this, you want to compete.
Yeah.
You want it to be something that you lost out on because you couldn't do it, not because you weren't given the opportunity. So the players who aren't here, as Ali mentioned, they're banking on somebody letting the opportunity go. It's no longer in their hands, and that is an uneasy feeling as a competitor. You want it to be on you. It's no longer on them. So if you're an Alejandro Sendejas, if you're a Diego Luna, if you're one of these players who was maybe you thought on the in or on the bubble, just on the fence, now it's no longer up to you. That decision has been taken away. You have to sit, hope, pray that something happens for you to come back through, not even the door, a window.
In terms of expectations now, what are we thinking? Because as we said, this is some heavy opponents that they're going to play. This is a perfect measuring stick before you head into the World Cup. We talked about this a number of times, that these are the teams that the U.S. should be competitive against, and if not, then at least beating if they want to get past where they have been. So at least for Belgium, expectations for that game, Herc?
So I wasn't big on the results of the last 5-6 friendlies because of who they played and when they played them and how they were. I more put the system, the tactic. I more put the emergence of certain players, more stock into that.
Oh boy, you're going down the path of culture again.
No, it's not a culture path. But Ali, hear me out.
No.
So I can't sit here and say if they lose to Portugal, lose to Belgium, whoa, that's an extreme
Panic station.
Panic station. No. But I want to see this team take a step. I want to see them compete because Portugal, Belgium, they're thinking, this is our last chance to impress as well.
Yeah.
Those players are thinking, this is my last chance to make a name for myself. If tomorrow was a World Cup, this is who your team would be. These are who your starters would be. So I want to see a little bit of that urgency. I want to see more of that identity, more of that tactical know-how. And to an extent, as Ali said, the culture. I want to see if it still applies.
There it is.
There it is.
Well, Ali, I want to see if it still applies. It's very easy to puff out the chest at Australia's B team or Paraguay's B team. I want to see if it's the same thing when you're going against Roberto Martinez's Portugal pool, a pool that's one of the best in the world. I want to see if it's the same when you face Belgium, who could be a potential next round rival, if it's still the same confidence, if it's still the same belief. I want to see those things.
Ale?
If I were a fan of this United States men's national team,
Slight fact.
You know, I mean, my team is not involved. I don't know if you knew this.
Oh, stop. We won't go down that road. But New Caledonia.
But look, if I'm a fan of the United States men's national team, what I would want to see from these games is that these games are close.
Yeah.
That they're competitive. I would want to see that my team is not so far off. Worst case scenario is that they get housed back-to-back against Belgium and Portugal, and you're kind of going, oh, okay. And this, so where do we go from here? Because now we can no longer have the conversation about, well, they're going to have a camp here and a camp there. And no. Those opportunities are now gone.
More time.
Yeah, we're gonna. No. It's upon us. Yeah. The World Cup is upon us, and so there is no more wiggle room. There is no more sort of time to talk about culture and building, and we're doing this and relationships. No, it's now sort of getting to that point to where it's put up or shut up. And so, from that sense, I would have realistic expectations as to what this team can be in the World Cup, and seeing where they measure against teams that are the sort of teams and caliber of teams that they're going to have to play against in once they get into the knockout stage. These are the sort of teams that you're going to have to get through. And this is the sort of talent level that you're going to have to get through. So I would like for these games to be close. I don't need the U.S. to win these matches. It'd be great if they did, but I don't need to. I want to see that these games are not a mismatch.
Yeah.
Because if they're a mismatch, then it sends a real cold, chilling message down to the fan base, but it also to the players that have been in this camp and the ones that are not in this camp, and it's going like, uh-oh, we are not as close as we thought we were. In fact, we may be further than we thought we were. That is not the way that you want to go into a World Cup, thinking we have a lot of work to do.